just now.
Wow.
It was a smooth show, bro.
Hey?
My son was a smooth show.
Oh, no one watches that, man. So I didn't see it. Sorry.
Being like the house Negro,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
some of
The
us,
only nigga in the room.
yeah, you know, some of us, you know,
Kevin
we
Hart's
got
of this world,
you
yeah.
got, oh no,
That is hot.
no,
Hot. What's wrong?
no.
Drake lost the battle when he said, "You rap like you're trying to free the slave."
Yo,
Yo.
You understand?
I felt that in Africa,
I was
bro. I
like-
felt that.
Men who are players,
Please. Bro,
always
you guys
see
see
it.
my timeline.
Yeah, we're seeing trend in the memes.
Yeah.
We don't know the deeper
Yeah.
messaging
All
that
the
he's pushing
time.
the narrative.
all the time.
And it's sad because I think he's
Access to information.
And they do not know or understand how to even engage in going to Africa. They believe they might be killed. Hell, I wish that, you know, he just wouldn't have said anything at all, rather than to come out and say that, you know, Cassie was it was a money grab and all of that. And then
There's a movie in South Africa called Serafina that covers sort of apartheid. That's what happened in the movie.
But that's-
15-year-olds
it's
get
pretty-
dragged out of their home
it was
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
was
so
exactly
just so you
the
know,
same.
Serafina is a thing in America that we watch.
No
Yeah.
way.
No, yeah, Serafina.
That was
Like, we know.
Actually,
Yeah.
when I
Serafina
watched
now.
Serafina.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of Podcast and Chill. Soul Penduka is here.
Yeah.
I am here. We're coming at you live from Times Square in New York, and I feel so shitty, Soul. I feel so bad.
Wow.
You know what they say? First impressions count.
And we're Africans. Sfigele. Africans arrived in African time.
We got some special
Oh.
guests today. We got the beautiful Tamika, my son. Thank you guys so much for coming through, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having
having us.
And we really do apologize. We were getting lost in Times Square. We couldn't find the building. There was so much traffic. Had to walk and leave the Uber. So we do apologize.
It's all good.
Listen, man, it was only 20 hours.
No. Wasn't long at all.
Saying they've been waiting for 20 hours, yeah.
I was running
So,
behind
so we're not gonna
myself.
let that go, eh?
I love it. Nah.
I was all good.
It's fine.
All
You
good.
didn't. We actually didn't wait that long because Tamika was running behind, so y'all probably came like 3 minutes after she got here.
It was
so.
10, but
When,
10. Who's counting?
when did you get back on the makeup, Tamika? Because I heard like you were taking a break from the makeup.
no, I take breaks at times. Like, you know, just I used to feel like really committed to it. Like I almost couldn't, I was like crippled. Like I could not, or excuse me, I don't think you're supposed to say the word crippled. So I felt
Can on this podcast.
sorry, I felt you know, sort of
Dependent.
like, yeah, dependent and like, well, really more so, I just felt if I didn't have my makeup done and I went out into the world that I was like just exposing like all the
Yeah.
blemishes and everything on my
Whoa.
skin. So I wanted to cover it. But the thing is, I have a great esthetician
Yeah.
and she's doing a great job on my face. So it's like if I'm paying the esthetician and I know it looks good, and I think I still have to cover it with makeup all the time, something has to change, right?
So what does the esthetician do?
She handles my face. She keeps it smooth like a baby's butt.
Whoa.
So she keeps the natural skin like smooth.
Very
And
smooth.
works on that.
Deals with blemishes, deals with dark circles. You know, she does all the things to make sure that my skin is nice and pristine.
You got one of those, my son?
Yeah.
For real? Is this like a thing?
I mean, what you just get a good facial. It's like really a woman who does
Jeez,
good
my
facial.
son, what about your G, your street cred, man?
Oh yeah. I mean, you can't not be a G because you make sure your skin looks good.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I don't know where the myth that you as a G, your skin ain't supposed to look good. You gotta have clear
Yeah.
skin. Like I don't
Shout
want
out.
Are you talking about the G spot?
Right. And you still
Yeah, I didn't really say that. You talking about that. I was talking about my skin looking good. You know what I'm talking about?
But also, you know, as you age, I think like as you age also, and people kind of feel like they can wait until later in life when it's really about taking care of your skin and yourself now. And it's also what you eat, all those things, they align. So again, it's not that I don't wear makeup, but now I don't feel like I'm married to it. That was the word I was looking for. Like I'm not married to it. I can not have makeup on.
So myself and Saul, we're like big fans of you guys. I mean, we watched the podcast TMI. Saul is a huge fan. Do you just want to introduce like to the chillers who they are? Like, let's start with Tamika because he knows everything about you. Like,
really?
Not everything. Bullshit. Mac, not everything, man. Guys, this is Tamika Mallory.
That's me.
Tamika Mallory, she's like an incredible woman, bro. So as though there was a march, 2017, the Women's March, right? Shortly after Trump had been elected as president. And you know how Trump, the way he has spoken about women generally, but the march encapsulated more than just that. It was about LGBTQ rights, the downtrodden, generally Black people, and the challenges they face. So she's a social activist, a powerful one at that. She's been at that since she was a teen or even earlier.
Even earlier.
Because her parents were also activists.
You know a lot.
No, I told you.
This is just Wikipedia. You got a bad
Don't
memory.
believe.
So I read this. And
Let me tell you, don't believe everything in Wikipedia. It had my birthday in September, and every September I start getting a bunch of birthday wishes from people, and it's actually in June.
Yeah, So that's Tamika Mallory. That's my camera, right? Yeah, and she's a podcaster as well.
A mom.
A mom as well to a son.
I am a grandma.
A grandma. Wow,
Yes.
for real. Yeah. The son is an activist as well.
No, he's not.
He's not, but he joined NAN as well.
Well, he did. And I would know. He was like, who said I'm an activist? He believes that it's his lifestyle. Like he's just living life. So sometimes he challenges things. Other times he doesn't agree with me about issues. So he would not claim that he's an activist, but he would say that he's conscious of
He's woke.
He's woke.
Would you say you're a feminist? Are we allowed to say that?
I think,
yes.
absolutely.
So we've got that in SA. We kind of like adopted it from America, and we call them Mbokotos. So like a feminist in our country is called the
Mbokoto. But that's a term. It's like a rock. Mbokoto is a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay. I like that.
It's a good term. It's not like
that. I like that.
A mocking term.
Certainly, the women are the rock.
Of course,
yeah.
We are the rock.
Definitely, yeah, man. Yeah. And then the partner, they do a podcast together.
Yeah.
MYSONNE, the General. So first time I heard of this guy, bro, he did like a whole 9 minutes, I remember, and I'm not bullshitting. This wasn't part of my research,
So it wasn't on Wikipedia.
No, it's there because the freestyle went viral. That's how it got to me in Hillbro in 2017. When I was staying there, and he did the freestyle on Funk Flex. So he's an amazing MC, battle rapper. The guy, was mentored by the likes of your DMX. He's worked with DMX, has worked with Mace, has worked with The Game as well. And now he's a community leader, social justice leader. He's very passionate because he, had troubles with the law at some point, did 7 years, and all he does right now on YouTube, on his Instagram a lot, talks about the challenges of the youth around his neighborhood. He's a youth leader, man, like brilliantly so, keeping guns off the street, keeping kids off of crime. Kids would think it's cool to come up being hard, invested in the life of crime, So he's using his life as a path and as a light to shine on other kids so that they don't make the same mistakes as he did. Overall, amazing guy, man.
And he loves taking care of his skin.
Get that man.
Oh, and he loves taking care of his skin.
Oh, yeah. My skin got to look good.
You got an esthetician.
My daddy told me always have a shape up and make sure your skin look good. Yeah. I don't care what's going on. If you don't got nothing else, make sure your skin is good and you can have a shape up.
Shout out.
So I wanted to start by telling you guys that. So we're from SA, right?
Yeah.
And pretty much like South Africa. I don't know if you guys have been there. You've been there, my son, yeah?
We both have.
You've had?
Oh, wow.
Where did you guys go?
We were just there in May.
Like now?
Just now.
Wow.
He was on
Was it
Smooth
your first
Show,
time?
bro.
Hey?
My son was on Smooth Show.
Oh, no one watches that, man. So I didn't see it. Sorry.
Lord.
It was a radio show.
Shade.
Also, no one
Shade.
listens to it.
That's not true.
It's called Radio 2000, the station, because they got 2,000 listeners.
Hey,
Swear to God.
Wow.
2,000 listeners
They're
is
not-
good.
The mayor's a nice guy to me. I don't know about y'all.
He's an amazing guy.
He's amazing.
He's a Grootman. So a Grootman is a G. In South Africa, a Grootman. Yeah, that's what in America. You're a Grootman. Yeah, you're a Grootman to a lot of the kids here. So Smooth's a Grootman, but he knows he's cool. It's banter. It's podcast.
What were you guys doing in South Africa?
Well, we were there attending a conference and also just learning about South Africa. We were really there learning about South Africa, the fight against apartheid.
Yeah.
So we were, really invested in trying to understand the elements of the movement and, and sort of how we as Americans can learn to support other nations that are experiencing similar issues.
And what did you think, like, of the place, the people?
South Africa is my vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's the
We were here,
energy.
Joburg, Cape Town, Durban?
Joburg.
Joburg.
Okay.
So when we first went to the continent, it was to Egypt and then Ghana and Kenya.
Yeah.
And I love Ghana, of course.
Yes.
I mean, Egypt, every place, I think every country has something else, something different, beautiful, something that you will cherish for a lifetime. But Egypt is not a place that I would ever live physically. Ghana, I loved it and thought it was like home. And then I learned that Kenya was so amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And so each time it's like my experiences just continue to elevate. And so I was sure that I would go back and be in Ghana. And then when visiting South Africa, I found in Johannesburg, I found this is like home. For me. This is where I'm supposed to be.
You guys have terrible food, by the way. So when you were in Africa, what was your favorite meal? Did you guys?
Joburg's food is amazing.
Yeah.
Everywhere we went to eat there, it was just everywhere. It was good.
Yeah. There was a restaurant that we went to, and I'm gonna. Before we leave here today, I'm gonna know the name of the restaurant. The owner is a black man.
Yeah.
It's like a strip that has stores and stuff.
You guys went to
in it.
Sakumzi.
Is that what is that the
That's
the
Villalobos
area?
Street.
Right. It's a street.
Yeah,
in Soweto.
No, not in Soweto.
Oh,
this
not
is
Soweto.
in Johannesburg.
Oh,
There's
It's like a complex with all kinds
strip.
of stores and strips. And it has
Maboneng.
I'm gonna find out.
That's what it is.
Maboneng.
It's Maboneng.
Maboneng.
Oh, it's
Oh,
short
yeah.
is Maboneng.
Yeah, there's a lot of soul in Maboneng.
Yeah, there
It's
was
in
a
Maboneng.
restaurant there that we went to, and we ate at least 3 times in that same restaurant because the food was so good. The owner is so amazing, a younger black man. We just ate all types of great food,
Wow.
including street food.
Yeah.
And we don't eat street food.
We left
Yeah.
the club and went to the street, ate some street food.
It was so good.
Street meat, we call
The
it.
chicken was not.
The chicken was.
But the chicken
chicken
looked
was
like
so
a chicken
fresh.
it was like the
Like, it
chicken.
looked like it was the chicken. It was so fresh. It just like
We called it chicken dust.
Chicken dust.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Food is amazing.
Oh, man.
And it's the best, especially after a party.
it is.
Yeah.
But the reason why I was asking that is because, so as South Africans, we grew up like idolizing Americans. Like we worship Americans, like the guys we see on TV, whether it's actors, musicians, whatever, you know what I mean? Just look at my name. My name is MacGyver, which is a series from America.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when you get here and you start speaking to like black people, African Americans from this side, it's like it's a different story. So like I wanted to find out from you, like, what's it like being black in America?
It's tough, actually. I mean, it's tough in just our basic everyday living. When we realize that the outside perception is a lot different, and we realize that we actually have a lot of privileges that a lot of people don't have, and we acknowledge that. But I guess when you have you've been afforded certain opportunities, and then you look at the history, and then you look at the overall, scheme of America, you realize that we're supposed to have more opportunities. Mm-hmm. And then you realize that how much you're responsible for just the culture of America. Mm-hmm. Black people are pretty much responsible for the culture and the pulse of America, and we haven't been compensated properly for those things. True. So it's like a double-edged sword. It's like you acknowledge the opportunities and things that you do have, but you also acknowledge the ones you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, Tamika?
Well, I would like to ask you when you say you idolize America or black people here in America, and then you said, but then you meet black people and learn that it's something different. So what did you learn so I could speak directly to what you
Like a lot of
heard?
them, like what my son was saying, they find it very hard. The racism is there. I mean, we also live in a world of social media where you see people getting killed by cops, like almost on a
Yeah,
daily.
yeah.
Which isn't obviously publicized as much.
We know that your prisons, majority of the guys, in prisons are black. You know what I mean? So there must be a problem if a race that's not even the majority in a country is a majority in jails. In South Africa, generally jails is black people, but then again, we're like 90%,
90%
95% of
yeah.
South Africa is
Yeah.
blacks. So the numbers are proportional. It makes sense. But here, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So which tells you there's a big problem.
And if you
in the
take
hoods.
away social media, right? So before social media, the what we had in our mind was stuff that we would see from like MTV, whether it's MTV Cribs or those music videos.
Or watch the Cosbys and think, that's how
Yeah.
Americans live.
Yeah.
Growing up, would see
Yeah.
Family Matters.
Family-
You know,
everything.
comfortable
Yeah.
middle class families.
Yeah.
We thought most Americans are like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've got apartments in New York, a lot of
You
them.
hear the
Very
Grammys,
interesting.
BET Awards, you're like, wow, this is paradise.
Yeah.
Like, this is heaven on
The
earth.
picture
you know?
is painted, yeah?
Yeah, mass media is very
Times Square,
deceiving.
just Times Square itself is like, whoa.
Mass media,
think
it's
that's
very
America.
deceiving, and it is
But
intentional.
when you go to Times Square, you don't see a lot of black people.
right,
At all.
At
At
all.
all.
right,
Like right now, they just had the side. You see all the soccer people because they're rooting because Messi and them. is
Messi,
going, so
yeah.
they just out there. It's thousands.
is
of
that
them.
what's going on?
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah, it's
I
his
That's
birthday.
the sound. the
Didn't
noise,
know.
yeah.
didn't know, but yeah, mass media can be very, very deceiving, and it is intentional because who wants to open up like the dirty laundry in their home? Like no one is going to open the door in their home and say, "Oh, everyone look in when it's not clean." Of course, you want to fix it up and take the nice pictures and make it look like it's sweet and fuzzy. And guess what? There's some very good things about this country that a lot of people have fought and died for us to have those rights. But at the same time, we live in an unjust society. We live and suffer dealing with oppression and racism and sexism. And, and right now in this political atmosphere from just these last 10 years, if you will, we're dealing with a very serious issue around fascism. And I think that, you're beginning to see more of it coming through because if you think about Blackish, a show like that, if you really watch it, there were moments when they would talk about police encounters and they would talk about race. When Dre went to work in the show, he was a marketing executive, but he would talk about race and issues around Black men. That was something that you didn't really find much of it in the past. And so there's been an evolution of writers who have the opportunity to tell true stories, but the story is still not being told in terms of the depth of the challenges and the problems that we face in our society. And that's why social media has been so important because it has opened up and again, pulled that curtain back where people can really see what's happening in our society. And even then, it's through a filter.
Mhm.
It's through the filter of, whatever company owns it, depending on how, they feel or whatever their policies and ideology aligns with, then you see certain people being silenced, certain voices, the algorithm for whatever reason doesn't support your material. And so it's hard to find the truth. And I think the only way to know the truth is to be in relation the way we are today, where we have an opportunity to sit together and tell the real story of what happens here in America and in places around the world.
It's so crazy you say that because I was watching, I was stuck in the hotel last night and I was watching a documentary about, Jewish people and the Holocaust and Hitler and whatnot. And I was sitting there, I was like, how come like as Africans or like as Black people, we can't unite to like from where Jewish people were to where they are now? How come, what do you guys think is like, what's stopping us from, uniting like they have, and becoming a superpower like they have. Because you look at social media already, you can already see, like, as much as we're all black here, but there's a hierarchy, especially on social media, where like African Americans think they're better than Africans.
Yeah, well, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the end of the day, we're all black.
But it wouldn't happen with Jews, for example.
But I think it's Martin Luther King discussed this, right? I remember a white man asked him this question. He said the exact same thing. Every other, race of people have went through things and they were able to get it together. And the man specifically said, "What do you think is the problem? Is it because they're black?" Right? And that was just a weird. What does that mean? Because they're black?
Yeah.
But he said, when you think about it, every other culture wasn't brought and made slaves on American soil, right? No other, they weren't stripped of their complete culture, right? And each one of those was given an economic base. The blacks in America who have been separated from our culture, that's why they say they're better than Africans, right? Because they stripped the African culture that you guys are rich in and understand, and which connects you, right? Like when you look at the Jewish and you look at the Asians, they're connected in there's one culture that they have, right? And they unite underneath that culture, and they bring everything underneath that culture. We don't have that in America. We got the foundational blacks. You got the blacks from here. You got the ones that say they were born here. You got the ones that say they've been here. You got the ones that say they're from Africa. There's so many different
layers of being black in America.
Black.
Yeah.
So
it's not a homogenous group.
Exactly.
Of people.
So exactly, there's no harmonious, just one culture that we fit underneath, and we say, okay, we're going to unite under this, and we're going to move this culture one way. Like every other people you're talking about, the Jews, they identify their history.
One religion, one people. Racially, generally, you're not gonna find a lot of black Jews.
But there are, but they
still are underneath the Jewish culture.
Wow, right. But let me just say that I would push back a little bit in to say that even in this moment when we see what is happening in Israel and to the Palestinian people, you see so many Jews who are against it, right? And so I think that, yes, it is true that they do have a culture and they have aligned themselves under certain values, certain principles. The Holocaust, they will never forget, ever forget. And they shouldn't, what their people experience. And it does inform the ways in which they operate and the ways in which they think about safety, and about their space in the world. So I think that's important. And I think most that I've met, I can't say all, but most that I've met, they adhere to some of those very those principles.
Yep.
However, they still have different ideologies, right? And that's in every single community, every race, every culture.
What is
you
the
are going
different
to have
ideologies
people. Well, there's some who believe that Israel is their birthright and others who believe that colonization is wrong.
But that's what I'm trying to say.
So I'm just saying that.
But they do, what I'm saying, I understand what you're talking about. Colonization, there's moral differences in how you attach themselves to the religion. But they all agree on the history.
Well,
right?
they may, I'm not saying
for
that
the most, so that they might think that you're interpreting certain, but all of them agree that we're Jewish and this is our religion.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
So what is the other Jewish religion that they have?
I think first of all, it is important for us never to use the word all to discuss a group of people, because there's always going to be people who have difference of opinions and ideologies and the ways in which they move. I think there is certainly a majority. But you're talking about religion. And yes, we do have different factions in our religion. And also they have people in their community who think differently about religion as well. Because I know, I've met them, I've talked to them. You have rabbis that are very liberal in their thought process and the ways in which they move in the world. And you have others who are very conservative. So I think all I'm saying is that every community has differences. But I do agree that there are some commonalities that they are able to unite around. And I believe that mass media, again, has a lot to do with why Black folks, and first of all, we're not even straight on that, because we're still calling ourselves Black folks, and there are people who are saying we should be saying that we're Africans in America, right? And so shout out to Jay Morrison is one person who has been constantly talking about us identifying like who we are outside of just this word that was pretty much given to us. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when you look at mass media and the ways in which we have been criminalized, some of us have been incentivized for being like the house Negro.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah,
some
yeah.
of
The
us,
only nigga in the room.
yeah, you know, some of us, you
The
know,
Kevin
we
Hart's
got
of
the,
this world,
you
yeah.
got, oh no,
Oh, that is hotness.
no, no,
Kevin Hart. What's wrong
no,
with you,
no. I do not agree with that. But you know, some of us have been criminalized, others have been incentivized. Well, we all kind of been criminalized, but no matter what you have. But nonetheless, they have found a way to make an us versus them scenario in every way of life. It exists in so many different areas and we see it all the time. And so you have people that just out of survival are attempting to be in one of these pockets, right? Like they want to aspire to be the bougier Black Negro because that helps to separate them from the criminalized Black person. And so, you know, we can never discount. We can never discount how what we watch, what we listen to, the images and the portrayal of Black people, it absolutely presents itself in how we feel divided in our communities. And so other communities don't experience that, right? Like you will never, ever, ever, ever see mass media pushing that Jews are criminals or Asians are criminals or that is not a thing that you would ever see, but they certainly do it in their own ways. The nuances are there about our people.
But then don't you also think with that in mind, you look at, because I consume a lot of like series from America, right? So if like, and most of them, it's literally the same script. It's always streets, drugs, this guy's fighting for this turf, and then he kills this guy, and then this guy wants revenge, or this guy wants to be a rapper, but he's selling drugs or whatever. It's the same. It's always the same narrative.
Yeah.
But there's no like I'm talking about like something like Power, for example. It's 50 Cent, right? So there's no Jewish person, white person, that. But why do you continuously push that narrative?
Tell those stories.
Tell the same story about like drugs.
Well, you know,
I don't know if I'm making sense.
You're making a lot of sense.
You're making a lot of sense. And I would say, and my son, you could certainly take it. When we say, I wouldn't say Jewish, but white people.
Yes.
Let's give it the proper context. I bet you if you look at Stars and the places where his shows are, the people in charge are mainly white folks that are making the decisions. And that is where the budgets, that's where the budgets lie.
Oh, so if I come with a wholesome series about a guy who made it from nothing and is inspirational, that's not going to cut it.
That's not where the money is.
Got you.
Pro stuck back home, Moja Love.
Yes.
Kind of vibes, you know? Moja Love is like, it's a whole TV channel.
It's Jerry Springer on steroids.
Jerry Springer kind of shows that are showing the muck, the filth, and we derive
the worst part.
The worst
and
part
we
of
love
our community. You know what I mean? The cheating, the whoring, the street stuff, the homeless people, and you know what I mean? And we find
it's like
also,
Zeus.
But also
in America.
But also we should reflect as a people because we find
and consume
amusement in that. So if, let me not say the religious the religion we've been talking about, but white people generally wouldn't endorse, let's say if they come up with a particular genre and endorse a big part of it that puts them in a certain life.
They're never gonna do
You know what I mean? Like that's like, oh, we only about killing, murdering, big booty shaking, etc. You know what I mean? Even Indians wouldn't. You know? They'd be like, nah, that's not what we're about.
What do you think, my son?
But why do we find amusement in that, yet we can sit here and say, nah, it's reflecting us badly. Go on, man.
I think it's two things, right? I think that the entertainment system, the entertainment industry has found that that's a niche. Right, they found that it's a niche, and they found people like 50 Cent actually comes up from that. So he's thinking about his reality, right?
That's it.
You know, he grew up in most of. If you look at Power, it's really just his lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's his life. He's giving you different aspects of his life.
Yeah.
So
What he
he's
knows.
able to tell that story. But there are blacks who have tried to tell different stories who haven't been successful, who have been telling you, different aspects of growing up in the community that weren't drug based, and those shows don't do well because they're not entertaining, right? And
Because people can't relate. Maybe.
they can't. They don't see that as their reality. They don't see it, and white America doesn't see it as a reality. They be like, yeah, nah, most of y'all's just out there shooting and killing. So do that. It's just like when you put the music out, right? When you just thinking about Kendrick Lamar, right?
Yeah.
And you look at this situation, and I told people it wasn't Kendrick versus Drake. It was Kendrick versus the culture that they try to push on us.
Oh, that's why that's so monumental. Oh.
So
it was bigger than that,
it
bro.
was way bigger. And you don't understand, and there's a lot of people from our community, like, I don't listen to Kendrick, but you don't realize just how dope an artist he is. Nobody knows that he has 17 Grammys. Nobody knows that he tours around this world. Nobody knows that he has some of the most powerful music that enhances us, that celebrates us, that educates us, that does all those things. It's not something that's pushed, right? And the average person knows that. The average person knows, especially coming from our community, we don't see, you don't know Kendrick Lamar as successful as he is. If you somebody would have to sit you down and explain.
And break it down.
Another example, Stephen A. Smith was talking about Jaylen Brown, right? And he said that they said that he's not marketable. Jaylen Brown is a genius. Like, if you look at, he graduated top of his class. He teaches at Yale. Like, everything about him is probably one of the best of us as black people. But they told him that he's not marketable. Now, that's crazy to me. I don't even want to be in a world where Jaylen Brown is not marketable, but that's what this industry tells us, that the smarter we are, the more educated we are, the more we're trying to inform. Like, Drake lost the battle when he said, you rap like you're trying to free the slave.
Yo, man.
Yo,
I felt that in Africa, bro. I felt that.
And it's like, because we are a lot more in tune than they want to make us think we are. We are a lot more educated. We want more knowledge, and they don't want us to think that that's what we want. So they keep pushing bullshit to us, and then they amp the numbers up. You go on some of these with drill sites and you see 20 and 30 million. It ain't 20 and 30 million people watching that. Y'all pushing that to make us believe that. And then and then I know, because whenever I put out positive content and has nothing to do with any type of, scandal or no type of back and forth, and it's educational, they don't even send it out to people to see it. They stop the algorithm when you're trying to educate somebody. So this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, marketing is a really important word, because I don't believe that people are only interested in the big booty, whatever. I think that the marketing budgets are behind that type of content.
Really?
It's a machine,
Oh,
bro.
absolutely.
It's a machine, bro.
It's behind.
But let's be honest, bro. The stories that you are most likely to click on when you.
But you're most likely to get them. That's why you click on it.
Right. It's the marketing. It's the marketing. It's the marketing for sure. It is the marketing.
Because you go on your page and you're like, oh, what is this? And you see the sensationalized head and you just click on it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like somebody saying, yo, this guy right here is talking about how we can, empower ourselves and generational wealth. And he has a strategy.
And they push that.
And they push it. If that was on my page, I would click on it every day. Because I'm gonna figure out how we gonna get rich, how we gonna elevate ourselves.
I might just block
see
it.
Right. Well, right. And again, the marketing strategy is very important, because these people have studied us. They study the triggers. They study a lot of things about us. And we've been told and sold a story about ourselves that we've been sold a story that we are beneath the rest of the world.
Yes.
That we are not as smart,
100%.
as you said, that we like to fight, that, we're not physically healthy. Like, we've been sold these stories about ourselves that people believe, unfortunately, because if you walk outside in your community and your community looks very much so like what they're telling you are, you're uneducated, and then you go to a school where it's impossible to learn. then you might actually begin to believe
and
those things.
We
So
have
when
government officials that say that you don't even know what
you don't know where computers are,
You don't even know what it is.
Yeah, don't
Black
even know what
people
a computer
The
is.
black kids don't even know what a computer
Right.
is.
And so, when you are online or when you're watching TV and the marketing is every other second, they're pushing this, but they're never, ever putting budgets behind pushing other content. And we know that it can work because how did the Cosbys work? You brought that up. How did Blackish? How come Blackish became such a big show?
Yeah.
It was because you had Tracy Ellis Ross and our brother, what's his name?
We know who you're talking about, though. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
he loves SA, man.
God Lord. What's his name?
Yeah, he was also in SA.
He's always forever in Cape
Jesus.
Town. I forgot
That's
his name
my
now.
brother. That's
Even
my
hosts
brother. And I
awards.
can't
He
even
gonna be
think of it
mad.
right now. Anyway, we had the two of them on the show. Anthony Anderson.
Yeah,
My
there
God.
you go.
I
Love
know.
South
And
Africa.
you also had all those young people
Yeah.
who were on other shows. It's almost like you have to put together the perfect cast of individuals that everybody knows them.
But you
whatever.
also have
And
to
by
be
the way,
backed by a lot of black money.
right? Let me
It's
say
not-
one more thing.
You have
though.
to push it.
But one more thing about that. And nonetheless, while she's super black, but Tracy Ellis Ross was also light skinned. So there's a lot that plays into that and thankfully she is a super, super, super woke black woman. So and when she gets on the show, she might be light skinned, but she's gonna kick a little bit of that black stuff so it's like, it's almost like you gotta sneak it in. You know what I mean?
And
so
then she's accepted. Her mother is Diana
right,
Ross.
and then her
so
mother. So all of that,
all of these
you need
connections,
all
is a
of
lot
that.
of these things that you need.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's not like you and I would
Got
just
you.
be able to walk up and say, well, we have a wonderful story too, and get the type of support and marketing and money behind this. And then the other piece is that a lot of our people understanding our conditions, understanding some of the issues in the world, they want to speak out about controversial topics, or they might look at a situation that they're being put in on the show, or in their surroundings, they're being told that they have to be managed by this group, their publicists have to be these people, and they don't like that, so they'll never make it to the place that others have been able to get to, because they're just not gonna acquiesce.
Which is why, that's why Kendrick Lamar is so powerful, man. And
Right.
this Not Like Us song is like, I was trying to understand it, bro. I'm like, why is this song so massive? Like, what's going on behind it? And I think
It's bigger.
my son, like
represents
what you're
something
saying,
bigger.
bro, it's bigger than the song, bro.
It's fighting against a culture and a narrative that all we are is over-sexualized, ignorant, just into brands and just... No, we're way bigger than that. And we want more than that.
We kings.
Yeah.
We're actually kings.
And
Why do
queens.
you guys think there's so much effort, though, to keep us enslaved mentally like that?
We are the most powerful species in the world.
And they know it.
Everybody wants to be us. Everybody. They study us.
Yes.
They
yes.
know, and whenever you have a lot of guilt on you about something that you've done and have not made reparations for, right? You have not truly repented for the harm that you've caused. You will always make that thing or those people othered and
Inferior.
and demonize them.
Yeah.
Because if you ever tell the true story, then it is really you that becomes the bad actor.
I always wanted to find out, right, with all this like knowledge that in the game that you're spitting right now, right, and also like all the injustice. Why don't you just come back home to Africa? Because I mean, like, the only thing missing in Africa is knowledge. We've got everything, But I mean, imagine if these two worlds were to combine, like, bro, it would be like, with all the knowledge you guys know, everything that you guys know, we come back home, fuck, we'll take over the world, bro. I think.
I think it's possible, but I think
disagree.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you know why? If someone was to say, so in South Africa, you guys derive from Congo or whatever, go home with the knowledge you have. I'm not gonna move to Congo because even us as black people were displaced. Like a lot of South Africans,
That's why we
the
don't even know
original
where.
people of South Africa are San people, Khoi.
Right.
Khoi San
Right,
people.
right.
Those are the
We
first
learned that.
people Yeah, in South Africa.
Yeah, but dog, we're
So
not getting
with
shot.
We're
not getting shot by cops on a random day, dog. I'm saying there's another
But
alternative.
Yeah, but you deal with
But we're
other
getting
issues.
oppressed by-
Yeah.
But there's other issues.
But people don't have jobs. People are unemployed. Someone in Congo, Congo's a bad example, but elsewhere we'll say in Kenya.
No, Congo
hey,
is
there's
actually a
opportunities.
good example.
Well, they're going through their situation.
But that's what
there
I'm
as
trying
well.
to say. So
Yeah.
why would you go there? Right? Like but by the way, let's just be real clear about this question around going back home. We built America on our backs. So when you say
They're
go home,
now.
they should go home.
And also,
Right? Because we built this place. So it is
Okay.
our home.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
our home. And what we should have is the ability to
Yeah.
move between here and our original
Got
birthright
you.
place that we are from.
Yeah, this
You
is-
know,
yeah.
we should be able to move between the two, but we should never have to abandon a country that would not even be possible if it were not for the sweat equity of Africans who were trafficked
wow.
to America.
And if you look at the music, bro, the landscape,
Fashion.
rock came from blues,
Everything.
the
Everything.
hip hop, pop,
Jazz.
the music, fashion, jazz,
The
Everything.
most
art-
powerful
the art in New York and
species
everywhere.
in the world.
So why would you build all of that and leave it? Because
Yeah.
you're going home,
Okay.
and then to be made to feel, let's be honest, we'll make them feel like they're not African enough. So you guys will feel you're not African enough when you're home. In America, the whites are not making you feel American enough. Let's be really brutally honest.
True.
I mean, South Africans, we can't even welcome Zimbabweans from next door. Let's be honest, bro. Let's be
That's
really
the one thing that I learned in
brutally
Africa,
honest.
and I think we talked about it a lot. That if it were not for me being there physically,
Yeah.
I would have all of these preconceived notions
Yeah.
about not being liked and
Got
that
you.
they were going to be looking at me strange and treat me funny, and I have to cover my entire body and all of these things that these are negative stereotypes and narratives that they push on us to make us feel like we could never go
Yeah.
home.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was actually at dinner with a woman the other night, and she was asking me like, so do they have roads? And this woman is a professional, right? Like she was a professional. She is a woman of a particular status.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, so is it like dangerous? Like, tell me what happened. And I felt sorry for her.
Yeah.
And I told her, I feel sorry for us and for you that you don't know because all the money that you have, and she spent every woman at that table, with the exception of one, has traveled all around the world, said we've been to this continent, this place, never
Africa.
to Africa.
Wow. Look, man, we got our own problems in Africa, but I would like to see a world where, we are united, man. I think that would be so powerful, man. But anyway, like we've spoken about it.
We have to build it.
You know what I mean? Exactly, man.
And
like I think
focus on what makes
there's so
us
much
stronger.
potential, bro. There's so
Yeah.
much
It
potential.
It is. There's so much potential. We went out there and we was like, there's so many things that we could probably bring here that could,
Bro.
Could
you know,
change.
could change and connect and make people from America understand the relevance and the understanding
Mhm.
and just the connection
Mhm.
to the motherland again. And a lot of people were like, yeah, that's what you should do. And we seen the opportunity. So I think that's something that we really want to
Mhm.
focus on.
Yeah, man. But in closing, I just wanted to find out from you guys. So, what do you think the solution is? Because we've spoken about, what we might see as problems that we foresee that's currently happening. But what is the solution? Like, how do we come together as a race, like from all across the world,
Mhm.
I think it has to be a lot of intentional building and conversations. Like, just like anything else, there have been meetings that connected us. There have been rooms where everyone sat down and discussed, like, what is the next? Because that's what the counterparts do that. Like, they discuss on how they are going to unite and they're going to build something else. So I think, since we're a lot more in tuned and purposeful about going to Africa. Our brother Hassan has been on us like, you got to go here, and a lot of people are very intentional about being in Africa. I think the more that we continue to bridge those gaps and have those meetings and build with the minds and feel like we invited. A lot of the leaders I've watched, I see a lot of people that I know go there and they're meeting with top presidents and things, and they're discussing on how we're going to unite, and what's the next project that we can connect on. I think that's what it has to be. It's got to be a lot more building of bridges and connecting and doing business and really being intentional about, creating that.
I think that I agree with everything that you said, Mice. I think that one of the issues that we have to really fight against is this desire to get everybody on the same page. There is, I'm very careful about the use of the word all and everybody. I'm very careful about that because we've never all been on the same page about anything, right? That's just not the case. And again, I don't think that other communities are on the same page either, but I do think that the way in which they deal with their discontentment or whatever is very different from us. We will go outside in the middle of the street and get throwing down, slaying one another in front of the world for everybody to see. And I think that's something.
Live.
And I think that is something.
They can't wait.
Bro.
I think that's something we have to be very, very careful about. Some people, my son mentioned Stephen A. Smith and others.
Yeah.
It's like these people are paid to help exploit the worst parts of us and to show the parts of where we are always challenging, especially young people. It really bothers me when I see some of the old heads.
Wait, Stephen A. Smith is the baseball guy?
No.
Like the commentator?
He's
No,
a
man,
commentator.
he's the basketball guy. Yeah,
He's a commentator.
You know,
Yeah, the commentator.
yeah, the funny,
That guy.
loud-ass
You
guy.
talking about him?
Light-skinned guy.
Yeah.
Like,
He's been paid to do what?
Well, I'm saying, he works for a
ESPN.
media
No
company,
way.
ESPN,
Yeah.
and he
real?
always finds fault in young black men who are players.
Bro,
Always
that guy's all over my timeline.
Yeah, we see him trend in the memes. We
Yeah.
don't know the deeper
Yeah,
messaging
all
that he's
the
pushing, the
time.
narrative.
all the
that guy.
time.
And it's
Stephen A. Smith.
sad
Yeah.
because I think he's actually dope, right? And for the
Smart.
most part, he's
He's
smart.
talented.
He's talented.
Great
He
broadcaster.
understands, but I just think that he utilizes his voice to point out, like, if you, as a person, who respects you, I would never utilize my platform or my voice to repeat a negative comment about you that I can't prove or that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
well,
just doesn't make
actually, he
sense.
might
Yeah.
agree with some
No,
of
but
the
he
stuff
said
said.
he's saying that he doesn't agree with. Oh, I didn't say it. This is what they said. No, I'm
Yeah,
not.
but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
right?
matter. Like,
Yeah.
That
Why-
guy is so influential. I mean, look, how
But
many
he's
people are
just
like me?
But he's just
He's just
one.
a microcosm
He's
of the
just
reality
one.
because I see it
There's
all the time.
a list of black people.
And what we
who-
do is say we're doing our job.
Right.
We have a job.
We
to
have
do.
a
Yeah,
job
gotta
to
pay the
do.
bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there and I
Gayle
mean
King?
I think
She on
it's
the
so
list?
she
She's
has her
definitely
moments.
does it.
She has her moments. She has her moments. And there's been a number of people. I mean, it just, I don't think our people are always, and that's why I say they're paid because they have a job. And this is the job that they've been given. And it's supposed to be fair and balanced. And therefore, at times, they have to call their own people to the carpet and whatever. This is a part of the fair and balanced mentality. But the truth of the matter is that our lives, the way we
It
live,
just doesn't
and our
benefit us.
experience in this country is not fair and balanced. So why is it that we're always so willing to take the job of being fair and balanced, which puts
When it
us
comes to
in
the
negative
detriment of
light?
us, yeah.
Exactly. And so, it is what it is. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
many and many. The list goes on with, and I try, but to go back to the original point
Yes.
of making sure that we don't get caught up and stagnant because we are trying to bring the whole together. I think there are going to be a few people who will make the difference and get the road to a bridge between our people in Africa and our people here and what we can be together. It's going to be a few of us that will start the process, and others will begin to come along as we are able to show the benefits and the fruits of that type of relationship. But I don't think that if we wait to get 1,000 people when we have a strong 20 that's ready right now, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. So I think we move, and we've got way more than 20, right? There's probably 200,000 people right now that's just waiting to be properly. They don't even know what I am attempting to help you understand with the story about the women is that these are very cultured, experienced. They have money. They are professionals.
Access to information.
And they do not know or understand how to even engage in going to Africa. They believe they might be killed, held.
What do they teach you about Africa in school?
It's dangerous.
For
It's
real?
underdeveloped, right?
Wow.
Or nothing at all, which is
Whoa.
that's a challenge too. Because if you don't,
Jeez.
I bet you know about Paris.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
about the
The
Eiffel
Louvre.
They make it
Tower.
seem like it's the most beautiful place in the world.
and
Then we come to New York and we're like, yeah.
Only thing,
Some corners
only
are like,
thing you've
come
seen,
on.
unfortunately, as a little kid, we seen the little kids in Africa starving
That's
with the
That's
flies
it.
riding around,
Bro.
with the little bowl,
Yeah.
and the
And
white
Kwashiorkor,
person saying the
yeah.
white person he gonna feed him, and we want you to donate to him, and this is what happened.
And the sad part is that
Jeez.
And that's-
same video footage could be taken in America as well.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
All
It's
you
all
see
about
is
marketing,
us
like you were saying.
robbing somebody, going to jail, killing. So this
Yeah.
is how we portrayed all over, just in different, different mechanisms and in different strategies. But what I will say, I just want to say this, we focus more on our differences than the things that unite us,
Yeah.
right? And I think
There we
that's
go.
I think
Listen,
that's
please. Sorry to give you.
This unites
Huh?
us. Don't leave
I'm
me
sorry,
hanging.
Kim. Yes, I think that's what we have to find out. We got to find the commonalities that we have. Where we actually agree. We know that we want equity. We know
That's
that we
it,
want
bro.
to be united, right? So we got to
Ownership.
find that we want ownership. We want something that we call ours. We want to be able to create generational wealth for when we look at our culture and see that it is flourishing in the same manner that everyone else's culture. We can all agree that as a culture that we don't have that perception and we don't have the equity that we're supposed to have.
Right.
So understanding that, we're supposed to be able to unite under that guise alone and fuck the rest. Everything else,
Yeah.
you know what, we gonna worry about the rest
bro.
later.
We'll
Yeah.
But
build
we're gonna
it.
build this
Yeah.
foundation so that I know my kids and your kids and our
Yeah.
kids that we have built something that's a mechanism that we not living in poverty and starvation and trying to figure out day to day like every other culture has. Like if you look at the Asians, what the Asians have done is just phenomenal. They're able to have their own countries and nations, and they come to America. They extract the information.
yeah,
They send
yeah.
their kids here to go to college, the Ivy League colleges. They build all the stuff and bring the money right back to where they came.
That's it.
And they keep bringing it. They bring
That's
the
it,
resources
man. That's
and they
it,
fund
yeah.
everything back in their own. And they continue to do the same thing. Well, I remember when Yao Ming was playing in the NBA, he was given the majority of his salary
Wow.
back to
wow.
to China.
Wow, for real.
Like it was crazy. The
Wow.
government required him, and
Damn.
it's like that makes sense because he made sure that somebody else is going to
Come
be
through.
able to
Yeah.
continue
he's
to
not
grow.
gonna be locked on in.
And
the
so
NBA, yeah.
when we get that mentality, then we're gonna get where we're supposed to be.
Tamika, I know
That's
you were
it.
speaking about this recently on your podcast because you're very close to P. Diddy. What you think about that whole situation? Because like in SA, it's like it's a huge topic.
So sad.
Everybody's like,
No Diddy. Did he do it? Everybody, yeah, but
I
it's-
never
it's a
really
huge
even
thing.
understood what no Diddy meant.
neither do I.
I
I'm too old.
literally,
I'm too old.
I just heard it and was like, okay,
Yeah, we're gonna roll with
I didn't
it.
know what it meant. Like, okay.
Yeah.
It's very sad,
Yeah,
you know,
It
and
is.
to, I call him Puff, and the whole time,
How did you meet him?
well, I used to work in a different organization, and he was always very supportive of our efforts. And, every time that I have ever encountered him, he's always been very positive, trying to, help me do something or help me with an opportunity or write a letter to somebody on my behalf, a corporation, telling them to go fuck themselves for not, doing whatever properly, making a call, sending me a phone number, a contact for somebody. He's always done something to ensure that whatever effort I have going on, that he puts a little bit of his sprinkle on it to try to help me, so that puts a person in a special place with you when you call him. And when you could slow him down to listen, because he's a person that's always got a million things going on. But when you could get him to listen, he would always try to be helpful. And so, when you think when you have that type of relationship with a person, you want to believe them when they say that, these things that are being said about me is untrue or whatever. And I have said many times that I wish that, he just wouldn't have said anything at all, rather than to come out and say that, Cassie was it was a money grab and all of that. And then to have a video like that you knew existed, he knew it existed. He knew that video was there.
We both have daughters. When we saw that video, it was so disturbing, man.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure, in any lawsuit or when lawyers get involved, words get changed and things or whatever. So I'm sure he probably looked at it and found the place where it's like, oh, well, I didn't do that or this or that. But the best thing to do, knowing that you were in such a dark place where these things happen, would have been to say nothing and then to apologize and move forward. And so I think, watching that video of him, it hurt a lot. It hurt me. It hurt a lot of people who, two things. One, people who love him. And then also people who, like myself, are a victim of domestic violence. Seeing what happened to Cassie brought something in my spirit that really made me sick. That day I was actually driving and everybody in the world was like, you got to see this video. You have to see this video. When I got to a light, I watched a very small clip of it and I felt sick for the rest of the day. I feel it doesn't mean that that we just say, oh, I don't love Puff anymore and I hate him and all of that. But I'm very, 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 very disappointed. And I don't, it's something that will take a long time for people to be able to move past.
Yeah, man. Jesus, crazy.
Some other shit.
Panuka, any last question before the leave?
Yeah. You guys were in Palestine, man. Was it the both of you?
Yeah, it was 3, 4. Linda wasn't with
us. The two of you were there, right?
Yeah.
Because we see a lot of stuff. We know what's going on, but some people feel like, hey, the propaganda's too much. What did you guys see there? Like, honestly speaking, the truth for somebody who wants an honest eye without any propaganda on what is going on there. What did you guys see and experience?
I seen an occupation. I seen apartheid. I seen people being displaced. I seen, heard stories from 70 and 80-year-old men who talked about how they were living in their homes that they had built and had passed down from their families. And somebody came and told them they had to get out.
Jeez.
And just took them out of their home.
After generations.
And I walked into pretty much concentration camps that they living in, where there's 7 and 8 story homes that they have to build because there's no more space. And they're living on top of each other this way. And I watched how there was soldiers just monitoring them. And
That's a concentration camp.
Yeah, they talked about how some days they just decide to shoot and throw tear gas just because they're not making enough noise.
But don't say they, because they did not say that. Former IDF.
But they said it as well. They said that in the former military who actually were IDF soldiers were some of our guides, and they told us how that's what they would do.
Jeez.
We went to what is the
Hebron.
There's no place in the world I've ever seen like Hebron. It looks like a war site. And they have military. They walked up to us. They wanted to see our passports. You have
they treated us like we were criminals.
For real.
Whoa.
You have kids throwing stuff at you. Like they show how they literally show how they took the land from the people, where they boarded and cemented their home shut and told them they couldn't walk outside of this place on one street, and if you did, you were killed or arrested or whatever. Like it was a very, very disheartening and eye-opening situation.
Damn.
Yeah, and yes, it was disheartening. It was painful. It made me very angry, but it also proved to me that those people who've been telling the stories for many years, and we know that Nelson Mandela, even John F. Kennedy spoke about what was happening to the people of Palestine at that time. Malcolm X, Angela Davis. I mean, almost everyone who we look at and revere as great leaders cited Palestine as a part of our movement, a part of our struggle for freedom and liberation. And, I was at that point, I felt that I joined a classman, if you will, of people who had an elevated understanding and a widespread understanding of what oppression looks like all over the world.
What I would tell you to look at Ta-Nehisi Coates. He talks about it.
He's a great author.
He was a great author.
Yeah.
Just Google it, and he says it's not complicated at all. He said, I kept hearing it was complicated. And he said, this was very simple for me. These people were experiencing apartheid. There was an occupation. It just wasn't okay. And he spoke about it. And his perspective pretty much mirrored mine. What we seen those kids outside. We talked about how they was arresting 12 and 13-year-olds who were speaking up, just grabbing them out their house in the middle of the night. It was one, we went to a house, and they said they arrested a girl. She had actually kind of went viral for speaking about it, and they hadn't seen her for weeks.
There's a movie
just came and just grabbed her and took her.
There's a movie in South Africa called Serafina that covers sort of apartheid. That's what happened in the movie. That's 15-year-olds get dragged out of their home at 2 o'clock in the morning.
So just so you know, Serafina is a thing in America that we watched that.
No.
Serafina. We know.
Actually, when I watched Serafina, it reminded me
much
of
younger.
I was very young. Like I loved Serafina. It made me cry. Serafina was one of the first movies that really made me cry. But we
were with one of the guys from Serafina this past weekend, drinking champagne.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Oh yeah. One of the guys from Serafina.
That's nice.
So easy, right? Yeah. It's probably in Soho right now.
But
waving flags.
even dare to speak about the truth, to tell the true story of what's happening to the Palestinian people is dangerous for many, right? Because here in the States, if you are a professor or if you are even a student, if you are working in a corporation, if you are a teacher in a high school, if you are working, anywhere, and you speak about or you challenge Israel and speak on behalf of the Palestinian people, you can lose your job, you can lose your home. We know people that were not able to get insurance for their home because of their statements or their perceived feelings on these issues. And I mean, these are people you actually know. I mean, the list of ways that you are punished is very severe in the States for daring to say anything that is not favorable about them. And the truth is that we are very blessed that God has continued to make a way for us to be able to speak the truth, right? And not everyone has it. I have friends who really, since October 7th, have lost so much because they thought it was okay to write the word peace on their social media or say ceasefire, which they thought was a good thing. And they have received severe backlash, and so
even in podcasting,
because
I can attest to that. Last time I was here, I went to Charlemagne's studio. They were recording Brilliant Idiots, and they were talking about the Palestine thing. But after they shot it, it took about 20 minutes before they decided whether they could put it up or not, because it's that
Did they remove it?
Yeah. I didn't watch the episode. I don't know if they put it up, but I just remember them they had a discussion. And these are guys that just shoot from the hip, you know what I mean? The uncensored.
Trust me, he knows. Trust me, he knows. He knows. And and I have to give a lot of love to Charlemagne, because on his the Black Effect podcast network, we're on there. There's a lot of different people, a lot of voices. And there are many of us who have been critical of the state of Israel. And he somehow is finding a way to make sure that his investors and funders and other people know that you can't censor people, especially in a podcast world where people are going to come from different perspectives. And that's not easy. Those are tough conversations. And I'm sure he has to have them all the time. But I know for us, even if we had to put our live on and do our podcast and have people give us $1 per person per time, we would do that before we would allow anyone to tell us that what we saw with our own eyes. It's different when we try to speak about what's happening somewhere. And, somebody told us, one of our closest friends and business partner, she is Palestinian. And so we knew the story, but they said she was crazy. They told us that she was a liar and she was just anti-Semitic and, she just hates Jews and that's it. And so, and many others like her. But when we traveled to Palestine and we saw for ourselves, no one can tell us that experience. We know that we were criminalized because our skin was browner than others. And so we were questioned about who we are, where we come from. That is occupation, period. It's nothing more you can tell us. We saw it, we lived it. And unfortunately, with what's happening in the world today, we have an obligation to bear witness, whether we like it or not.
Yeah. Jeez, man. In closing, Tamika, my son, thank you so much, guys, for coming through.
Thank you.
I love this,
apologize
like
once
the
again.
black preachers. They close at least 3 times
Yeah,
before
that's right.
ending
That
the
was the
sermon.
third
Gotta close
That
at
was the third
least
and closing.
3
Yeah,
times.
I counted. I thought it was just me, maybe.
Yeah, you gotta
Nah,
close
even
3
Back
times.
home, the preachers do that.
Yeah.
It's like global pandemic.
So yeah, it's a global black pandemic. That one,
But I wanted to apologize once again. For
No,
being late.
please don't
It was only 20 hours.
You weren't late. You weren't
In
late.
closing, what do you want to tell our African brothers out there or chillers? So we call our audience chillers.
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 Yeah, because it's
chillers,
podcast and chill. So
Podcast and chill. So tell the chillers, man, we appreciate you. Continue to love us. We want to come home and visit you guys soon. And we're going to come out there and do our podcast. And we're going to chill out there with you.
Bro, you don't have a beat, man, for my son to freestyle, bro.
You to freestyle on the beat,
Oh,
bro. Hey,
Lord.
Man, my son, bro.
Next time.
Next
in
time,
Joburg,
fam.
in Joburg.
Enjoy.
We'll be prepared in our
Joburg.
studio, yeah.
Yeah.
And so many
Tamika?
people were like, why isn't my son doing a show?
Yeah.
He should have been out publicly. But, we try to be humble and chill and learn the lay of the land before we go and really put our...
Nah, you got us now.
Stake
You
down.
got
Yeah, I
us
was
now.
surprised. I just popped up on Swoozy. I go, my
Hey.
son's in South Africa. I was
Yeah, you
surprised.
watched
They didn't even
it.
announce
See?
it.
You
on
watched
Insta,
it.
bro. Yeah.
They said no one watches it.
But you wanted
And then
2,000.
No,
there
you know
go.
why? Because you said on your
Ah.
Instagram, and I was like, oh, my son is with Smooth. I was like,
He
nah,
hit me up. He DM'd me like, where you at? Come on. I was only 10 minutes away, so I was like,
No, it's DJ Smooth's our guy. We used to
Yeah.
work at the same radio station.
Yeah, he's a Grootman. Is that what you
yeah.
I would tell the chillers
Yeah, boy.
that we need to be very intentional about dispelling the myth that Africans and African Americans are not brother and sister together as family.
Yeah.
So every time you see these negative narratives, shoot it down, take it out, say, nope, actually, we are looking for our people to come home. The best thing that happened to me was when I got off the plane in Egypt. Someone walked up to me and said, we've been waiting for you.
Wow.
And I needed to hear that.
Wow.
I never, in America, all these years, and a country I love, a country that I fight to the death for, which is why I challenge this country, because I live here and I've done everything in my power to make it better. But never have I felt as welcomed as I did to have someone walk up to me and say,
Yeah.
we've been waiting for you. And they said that in Ghana when we went to the not the
It's
door
a
no
welcome
return,
home.
when we went to the river where
Mm, mm,
the
mm.
enslaved individuals took their
Oh,
last
you saw
bath.
the whole, yes.
Oh,
yes,
man.
yes.
and
yeah.
the gentlemen. Have you ever been there?
No,
We've
no,
been
no.
to Accra.
We've been
We
to
haven't
Ghana.
been there.
We've been to
Yeah.
Ghana, but they didn't take us to the slave. I've seen it so many times on
Yeah.
on TV.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
real,
No, it was
yeah.
something, to have people saying we've been with, and a part of his presentation to us is that all of these years since you've been gone, we've been waiting for our people to come back
Wow.
to be right
Beautiful.
here.
And it feels different, I'm sure, when you just land, eh? Like,
Oh.
it's amazing, ne?
Your feet on the ground.
But I won't lie to you, American Twitter is yes.
Oh.
Hey, American Twitter is hey.
Now we can handle them.
Hi, American
South
Twitter.
African Twitter can handle them.
Hey,
We're
they'll love you for
brutal.
breakfast now.
Nah, they must bring it on. Nah, man.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for your time once again.
Thank
Shout out,
We are
guys.
here, man. Podcast and
Thank
chill.
you.
Boom.
Thank you.
Welcome to Black Excellencies. Do not fear, for if you do, just sip on some grandeur. And if you still do, ask ourselves, what would Mapapunzi do? Parama chila, itlesha lefiki. Ungoyigi, even if when they ask you, how sabiini, do not fear. For if you do, just say, Anistivi. This is the medicine of censorship. This is the and chill. Podcast